Hello and welcome to the News9 Plus Show on the world's first news and current affairs OTT platform, News9 Plus. India has its share of criminals in politics. In fact, the phenomenon is so rampant that politicians who form the crime and politics nexus actually have a name. They are the Bahubalis or the strongmen, and they aren't going anywhere anytime soon. Joining me to discuss why criminals are indispensable in India's politics are Arun Anand, author, and Dr. Sanjay Kumar, and my colleague, of course, Ashok Bagaria, here in the studio with me. Gentlemen, welcome to the News9 Plus Show. I want to start by asking you, Ashok, crime and politics, heady cocktail, and we've seen recently with Ansari's death in prison, the heart attack, suspicious circumstances, but the huge turnout of people for his funeral signals there's more to him than just crime. The fact that he had a massive following. How does a criminal like Ansari manage to, get so many people to queue up for his funeral?
Well, there are a couple of things. First, I'll answer your question with respect to criminalization of politics and the inextricable linkage between crime and politics. In fact, this is not a new phenomenon. This has been going on ever since the first elections in this country were held. Criminals form the muscle of the Indian polity. And minus them, it becomes very difficult for a candidate of any political party to win an election. So initially it started with a person being nominated by a political party to contest the elections. That person would take the help of the muscle man to help him win the election. But subsequently over the decades, what happened was that these muscle men decided that why should we be helping somebody else to win elections? And they started pitching themselves for contesting elections. And that is how they made their entry into politics.
That's evolutionary from being the muscle to becoming the politician.
So first they got their foot into the door and then they allowed themselves to be hoisted on the stage and contesting the elections. Now, when you look at these muscle men, they basically start off with a Robin Hood kind of an image, where they are generally seen to be pro-poor, targeting the rich people in the society and dispensing whatever they earn by their misdeeds to the poor. So when we look at these Bahubalis across North India, South India, East India, West India, one thing which is in common is their Robin Hood image. Minus their Robin Hood image, they do not have that appeal, and the fact that they have enjoyed this Robin Hood image is amply seen, because as you rightly pointed out, look at the turnout of the people at Mukhtar Ansari's funeral. It clearly shows that that man, despite being behind bars for 15 years, had a tremendous appeal in his constituency. And that is exactly what is happening in our country today.
Absolutely. Very unfortunate turn of events there. But Dr. Sanjay Kumar, this fact that as Ashok so beautifully explained, the transition of muscle men into politicians themselves, and of course we've seen Mukhtar Ansari's the turnout at his funeral. And of course, Ashok, let's not forget the politicians who were hobnobbing with his family, to try and get that vote thing. As Indian politics really become, the last refuge for scoundrels like this, where, they're being wooed and courted by political parties and, politicians alike?
Yes, I agree to it. First of all, the politicians has taken help to criminals. And we may tell it that criminalization of politics, and then they have already formed the party, and then criminals become politicians. So we agree to him how the criminalization of politics started, and the people has given him support. So we may understand it, a time when the muscles man, or just you may tell it Bahubali, they have most of the politicians taken their help to capture the booths. But gradually, this very type of things has already been stopped, and they have started to earn more and more money by different type of means. And they have started to distribute some amount of the money among the poor peoples of his community. And they have already created the image of Robin Hood.
Right.
And the people of his community started to just search a naikatva in his leader.
Right.
And they have started to give him the acceptance in the society.
Yes.
So, we the people is responsible for it. Most of the people, what I have already heard, they are telling that no. There is no a place of politics for a good man. Okay,
right.
fine.
Right.
If you have already placed the vacancy for that very type of people, certainly they will get the benefit from the politics. They will fight the election.
Right.
They will be the member of the parliament. They will be a member of the assembly. And you may take the record from the parliament.
Yes.
How many criminal cases on this very parliamentarian, which one is representing the parliament?
Yes.
So you may understand that we can't distribute on the basis of geography, north, south, east and west.
Right.
Yes, criminal is criminal.
Absolutely. And my question actually, Dr. Kumar, thanks very much. I'm going to ask Arun Anand this question. You know, this ADR has come out with this, the percentage of MPs with criminal cases pending against them. It was 25% in 2004 and it's now risen to 43% in the outgoing Lok Sabha. I mean, do voters not really care very much about the criminal records of their politicians, who they are voting in?
So I think one is that we have to look at the exactly what kind of criminal cases are there, because a lot of time they're politically motivated also.
Yes.
But the fact of the matter, it's a fact that there is a huge nexus between politicians and criminals.
Right.
And now criminals have started entering politics in a big way. I think the NN Bora committee report had thrown light on it, and it is time, especially in light of what happened in case of Mukhtar Ansari, and that we need to revisit the NN Bora committee report.
Right.
And we also need to see whether the recommendations have been implemented in both in letter and spirit or not.
Right.
Some of the recommendations have been implemented in the sense that now we have amended the law when politicians get convicted, so they cannot contest the election.
Right.
But I think it's much beyond that. Actually, if you go to the bane of this problem, all these things started mostly in 1970s,
right.
especially during the emergency, when Sanjay Gandhi was having his way. And Congress actually basically mainstreamed to a large extent to the criminals into politics. And we saw it is not merely only, the contractors or, the kidnappers or the abductors. It's also about those people like, you see 1984 riots.
Yes.
And people against whom, there were kind of open and shut cases.
Right.
So they were mainstreamed into politics, and they also became the ministers in the subsequent government of the Congress. So I think Congress has to bear this, responsibility when it was at the helm of affairs. So it set up this template. Unfortunately, most of the other parties also tend to be following this template. So I think that's a cause of concern. And as far as, I just want to answer, Ashok, he had rightly pointed out about this Robin Hood image. So I'll tell you that my take on this is that these Bahubalis are very smart. They are not doing it out basically because they have a golden heart. They are doing it because they know they cannot survive against the system without having local support. So they are playing it very smart. It's not that they really have a golden heart and they are really Robin Hood and want to do something for the poor. Had it been so, they wouldn't have been indulging in the criminal activities.
Right.
So that's my take.
Yeah, actually interesting that the Robin Hood image, and in fact, Ashok, I was just looking at the new trend that a whole lot of gangsters' wives are now contesting the elections, and they've been, handed out tickets, and they are actually running the show while these gangsters are within prison. So this is something that you used to see with other political parties. When politicians are in jail, their wives would take over. But are you seeing this as extending now to the Bahubalis as well?
Yes, actually. What I would see this phenomena as just another stage of evolution. So first we had criminalization of politics,
yes, the muscle
then politicization of criminals.
Absolutely.
And now we have the spouses of these Bahubalis who have been debarred from the electoral contest now jumping in
Yes.
to contest his elections, because at the end of the day, even though the Bahubali has been debarred from electoral politics because of conviction or because of any other reason, because of his death or her death, what is happening is that their relatives, spouses, sons, daughters, they are contesting the election. So what these people are trying to do is they are maintaining the support base which was built by their fathers, brothers, or husbands, and they try to carry forward the legacy of the Bahubali and at the same time also ensure that the personal benefits inure to them, and not just to them, but even the political party which is nominating them. At the end of the day, it's a quid pro quo relationship between the individual and the political party. And the political parties also, while selecting candidates, know that if the party ticket is given to the sister, brother or son of a Bahubali, they can ensure a victory on that particular seat.
Absolutely. An interesting point there again, Ashok, the fact that this Bahubali thing has become a Bahubali franchise, where you have the families now taking over. Arun, you think this is going to last? And what will be the next stage of evolution? As Ashok just mentioned, you have from the musclemen to the musclemen politicians to finally the franchise. The Bahubali franchise sounds like a Bollywood film. What will be the next stage in the evolution of the Bahubalis after the franchises?
I am an eternal optimistic person. So I think I see a lot of good people entering politics.
Right.
So it's like, it's actually best said in Hindi कि आपको किसी लकीर को छोटा करना है तो उसके पैरेलल आपको बड़ी लकीर खींचनी पड़ेगी. So you have to draw a bigger line. So you have to have more people, a larger number of good people in politics, rather than having. See, it's the character of politics. It's not only specific to India. If you see all around the world, right from US to Europe to the criminal gangs, the mafia, they have always played a very significant role.
Yes.
In terms of, but here in India, we tend to kind of glorify also a lot of Bahubalis, and there they remain in the backdrop. So that's the difference. So I think there are a lot of good people. I see people like Anna Malai. It's not only about BJP. There are a lot of ex-IPS officers. There are ex-Fauji's who are entering. There are ex-IAS officers who are entering, who are contesting, who are winning elections, and who are winning. Some of them are. I can't right now give you the data, but there are people who are winning from those constituencies who earlier used to send Bahubalis to legislative assemblies or parliament. So I think I am eternal optimistic. I think this trend is ultimately going to to a large extent fade away. Also, as we get more and more organized.
Yes.
And there is an increase in actually more and more white crime. The white collar crime.
White collar crime, absolutely.
So these are the new Bahubalis actually you are going to see probably. Rather than, so this stereotype is going to be, to be changed. And as we have seen in case of, this guy called Sukesh.
Yes,
Sukesh Chandrasekhar. Right now.
Right.
Yeah. So this is the new format of, the Bahubalis I see emerging. So I think we need to be wary about them.
Oh, that's you've nailed it, Arun. I think you've just given us another coinage, a white collar Bahubali. Instead of the muscle man, you have the white collar, financial fraudster who take over. But Dr. Sanjay Kumar, you think that the Election Commission actually, while this evolution might continue, that the Bahubalis from strongmen to franchises to finally white collar criminals like it is in the West, while this evolution takes place, do you think the Election Commission needs to be given some kind of powers to ensure that political parties don't give tickets to such candidates? Whether it's to give them the power to deregister political parties, for instance. What's your take on this?
Yes, certainly. Election Commission should give guideline to the parties, political parties. Most of the people, which one is just facing the conviction, they would prefer just our wife or our nephew, our son will fight the election or contest the election.
Yes.
Quite natural, because there are no charges on him and they may fight the election. But from the side, they are giving the support. Just I would like to give the example of Bihar. Just a man, which one is in jail, they have already from out of jail, and the RJD party has decided to give the ticket of his wife. In this very time, he got married, and his wife was fighting election. She was fighting election from Munger Lok Sabha election. So must watch the election commission to give that very type of things to the parties. Why you are just selecting that very type of candidate? So it should be given the guideline to the different party. But one thing is important. Okay, fine, white collar man, financial corrupt man, or muscles man, which name I may give him, but which one has to give the vote? People. People has to decide whether I will have to cast their vote in this very people, or the people which one is just belonging to the academic background. I will have to cast their vote in favor of that. So people is also responsible, and I may in favor of it. The people should be aware. We are telling that our democracy is maturing, but you are just casting the vote. And in the favor of that very type of bahubali, that very type of people, which one is in financial offenses. And you are not choosing the people which one is coming from the academic background, which has no any type of support. But you are not choosing that very people, so you may expect that. So I agree to you, yes, election commission must give the guideline to the parties. I will screen out. It should maintain transparency, and the people should also aware.
But absolutely, the people should be aware, and they should know if they're voting for a Robin Hood or just a plain hood, as Dr. Sanjay Kumar said. Thank you very much, Dr. Kumar, for joining us this evening, and Arun Anand, for your thoughts on the fact that criminals are here to stay in politics. The stages of evolution we just discussed will continue, but ultimately, as our panelists have told us, it is up to the people to decide whether they choose the Robin Hoods or plain hoods. It's up to the people, and really that is something that we should be looking at very carefully as we go into Lok Sabha 2024. Thank you very much. Uttar Pradesh and Bihar have been the playground of several gangsters turned politicians, from Mukhtar Ansari to Raja Bhaiya. Watch the story as News9 Plus dives into how they transitioned from bullets to the ballot.
वो पूछते हैं कि हम कौन है गालिब, तुम बतलाओ कि हम बतलाएं क्या।
या तो इनकी मोहब्बत है, या तो इनका ये दबदबा जो है हर बिरादरी में, चाहे हिंदू हो चाहे मुसलमान हो।
If I follow the law, then I will not be alive tomorrow. So I told him, you do what you think is best. I will not insist.
वो कि साहब हम इनके यहाँ जाएंगे तो हम सेफ हैं, या हम इनके साथ जुड़े रहेंगे तो हम सेफ हैं। इस सोच ने इस बाहुबली विचारधारा को जो है जन्म दिया है।
क्रिमिनलाइजेशन का नाम गरीबों का मसीहा नहीं दे सकते, ये कहीं से भी सही नहीं है।
Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal's arrest in the liquor scam saw nearly the entire opposition India alliance sharing a stage in Delhi. Can Kejriwal's arrest provide the opposition with the opportunity to rally around the Delhi CM and gain some much needed momentum? Joining me to discuss this today are Manish Kumar Raizada, Ajit Kumar Jha. They join us in the studio here with my colleague Ashok Bagaria. Mr. Raizada, will Kejriwal's arrest galvanize the opposition? I mean, we saw the kind of story of opposition unity, that picture of all of them on that one stage together in a way that we haven't seen in recent months. The opposition seem to be completely out of the picture for now, the India alliance. But has Arvind Kejriwal's arrest kind of brought them together and given them an issue to attack the BJP with?
Yes, Sandeep, thanks for having me. First of all, I would say until yesterday, things were a little bit different. Today, the scenario has changed. These all unitedly, in my understanding, they are false gods of democracy. First of all, today, Arvind Kejriwal, the fake crusader, has gone to Tihar. So this is a matter of great pleasure for all of us who came to support Anna Andolan and initial months and years of Aam Aadmi Party, thinking that anti-corruption will happen, a momentum will gain, and the Vyavastha Parivartan will happen. But today he is behind the Tihar jails, from where the whole movement actually started. Anna was arrested and sent to Tihar jail at some point in the Andolan. So this is one. Second is that yesterday, whatever happened at Ramlila Maidan, what you are saying that yes, it seems that the whole opposition was trying to galvanize behind his energy to project him as a default prime minister, which was not factually, which should not have been the case, because number one, he's already mired in a liquor scam, which is a corruption case.
Yes.
Number two, he was even at that point he was under the custody of election ED, so they should not have come behind him. But I think I would put a larger blame on Congress for all this. Delhi Congress party never wanted this because Mr. Ajay Makan and Delhi unit did not come and participate. Secondly, what could have been no less than unfortunate is that this guy who is shown behind the bars is being projected at Ramlila Maidan as the kind of default leader, which is simply unfortunate. I would say that the larger responsibility lies with Congress, because if you see all over the nation, Congress has meekly given way. Their behavior is very sheepish, given that this is a large legacy. Congress has long history, and they have a large legacy behind them. But in Uttar Pradesh, they have given up so many seats, Lok Sabha seats, to the opposition, to the alliance partners. Even in Delhi, they have given 4 seats to Aam Aadmi Party in the Lok Sabha elections, knowing very well that when Vidhan Sabha elections come, which will happen in 2025 Feb, I can bet upon this that Aam Aadmi Party will not go in any alliance with them, because they have 62 MLAs sitting with them.
Yes.
So this is simply unfortunate, and they're projecting someone who should actually be, criticized and basically admonished for all
interesting
this.
Points there, Munish. The fact that the Congress is gradually giving way to the Aam Aadmi Party. And Ajit, since you've been tracking the Aam Aadmi Party's rise for the last decade or so, do you see the AAP becoming the nucleus of an opposition around which the other parties can come together, based only on what we saw in the last couple of days? Or you think that this is going to fizzle out, say, the minute Arvind Kejriwal comes out of prison?
Well, at this moment, Sandeep, it's certainly Arvind Kejriwal, who was a culprit in the so-called liquor scam, has suddenly ended up becoming the hero, right? He's the icon. There's a lot of sympathy wave in favor of him, certainly from the entire India bloc members. You saw that at display yesterday. But much more than that, I think Arvind Kejriwal is, in terms of sheer, he is probably the best candidate as the default prime minister from the India alliance side, given the fact that he has political experience as a chief minister. He's won, consecutive elections in Delhi with overwhelming majority. It's a startup party. It started in 2012. They are already in power in Punjab. They have got 16% votes in Gujarat. So the bounce of Arvind Kejriwal, the fact that he's not a dynast, like Rahul Gandhi. He comes like Mr. Modi. He comes from the bottom. He's an IIT graduate. He's an ex-civil servant. So I think in many ways, he attracts the middle class and he attracts the anti-BJP votes. In a way, he represents the biggest challenge in terms of to Prime Minister Modi. We already saw 2014, 2009. Rahul Gandhi was not a serious challenge. From that perspective, I think Kejriwal is a great challenge, and he has solidified, given oxygen to the India bloc, which it has lost, ever since Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar went on the other side, and Mamata Banerjee got alienated from the India alliance. From that point of view, I think Kejriwal is certainly someone who has solidified the alliance. And as I said, he's probably the best challenge. Although Prime Minister Modi dominates over the India alliance, but despite that, if there is anyone who can actually become the David, in terms of David versus Goliath, then it's Mr. Arvind Kejriwal.
David to the BJP's Goliath, Ashok, you think that's a possibility, even if it's not in 2024, possibly in 2029? Is Arvind Kejriwal positioning himself as the alternative to the BJP?
Well, I have a slightly different take on this issue. I don't see Arvind Kejriwal taking the center stage as far as the INDIA alliance is concerned. Now, what really happened in Delhi yesterday was that all the opposition parties who are supposedly the members of this alliance came together to support Arvind Kejriwal, primarily for the simple reason that he, like other politicians, has been targeted by the Enforcement Directorate, and all the political parties in the country are seeing, or rather facing, persecution, if I can put it, at the hands of the Enforcement Directorate. So what has really happened is that everybody who was on the stage yesterday at the Ram Leela Maidan
had a reason to be there.
Had a reason to be there, and in fact, some or the other member of their political party was facing charges by the Enforcement Directorate. Now, whether Arvind can emerge as an alternative or can emerge as the tallest leader in the alliance, I think when the leadership issue is discussed, the leadership issue will only be sorted out on the question as to what that political leader brings to the table. What does, after all, Arvind Kejriwal, what will he bring, or his political party bring to the table? Maybe 3 or 4 seats from Delhi, a few more from Punjab. But how do you reconcile him with Sharad Pawar? How do you reconcile him with the Congress party? How do you reconcile him with the Trinamool Congress or the other political parties? So, in a sense, what I see, the way I see it, is that he's just provided a rallying point to all the opposition parties to come together and hit out at the common enemy, which is the Bharatiya Janata Party.
So it's not going to be a redux of 2014 when Mr. Kejriwal believed that he was the alternative to Prime Minister Modi, then the Gujarat Chief Minister. But, Mr. Raizada, this point about Arvind Kejriwal, very clearly from 2014, when you were with the Aam Aadmi Party, his prime ministerial ambitions were very clear even at that point. I mean, because when Prime Minister Modi went to Varanasi to contest, Arvind Kejriwal followed him. Do you see him as still nursing prime ministerial ambitions, despite the fact that the AAP does not have the critical mass to create that nucleus around which the opposition can be built?
Absolutely. That is the problem, in fact. If you look at the, as Mr. Jha alluded to this as a startup. I mean, it's such an unfortunate situation that a party which in the initial month used to say, we are not a party, हम political party नहीं है, हम बदलाव के लिए आए हैं, जन लोकपाल बिल अभी भी दे दीजिए, हम पार्टी को disassemble या उसको wind up करके चले जाएंगे. Those kind of zeal, with revolutionary zeal, they kept saying this, but at the same time, contradiction enough. Yes, he was harboring those ambitions, And unfortunately, the way he has thrust upon Sunita Kejriwal as Rabri 2.0 is very unfortunate. In fact, Aam Aadmi Party, when you were asking this question, whether he would come, Arvind Kejriwal would come as a formidable candidate in 2029 as a PM candidate, I tend to disagree with this, because in my opinion, the moral project of Aam Aadmi Party is already dead, and he has gone to Tihar jail today. He has been already badly tainted, even in the form of, if you look at his perception. Yes. So this party is very unlikely to survive if he remains in jail. Right. Because number one, there's a leadership crisis. He deliberately never groomed any leadership in the party. Right. Even today, Sandeep, if you look at this, 7 to 8 MLAs are from the core Anna Andolan days. Sarita Kumari, Rakhi Bidlan, Saurabh Bhardwaj, Somnath Bharti, and Somnath. He's a very humble MLA otherwise, so not much in news. Vandana Kumari, So 3 ladies and 4 to 5 gentlemen, they are all from the core time, but he has no time to even project any of them, and thrusting upon her wife in the most brazen manner. Right. So, Ajit, Ajit, this point that Mr. Raizada made, you think that it is over the last couple of years, it's become a one-person party. Do you think that's going to act against Arvind Kejriwal, or it's actually going to work in his favor? The fact that he is now the Aam Aadmi Party and the Aam Aadmi Party is Kejriwal.
Sandeep, number one, all political parties today are one-man party, right? Yes. Take
or
BJP,
one-woman party,
the largest party. It's more Prime Minister Modi than the BJP, right? Yes. The same thing with Congress. After all, Rahul Gandhi. Why Rahul Gandhi? Why not anyone else? But against the same problem. Now, that's a problem throughout. All the regional parties are led by one person, right? Yes. So let's cut that point. Let's look at the more serious objection. AAP doesn't have the numbers, therefore he cannot become the Prime Minister, right? Now, look at India's past. When we had coalition government, we had Prime Minister Gujral. After all, Gujral didn't even have a party. He was just one-man party. Same thing with Prime Minister Gowda, right? Right. So we've had that. What happens when you have a coalition, you don't have a very strong Prime Minister. You have the least common denominator on whom everyone agrees. Now remember, Kejriwal is very close to Mamata Banerjee. Kejriwal is very close to Stalin. Kejriwal now recently has become very close to Congress. So, and Kejriwal has the capability. Look at his defense in the High Court, for example. He did it himself like a lawyer, right? He's been an experienced chief minister, of course, and he's ambitious. He wants to be the Prime Minister. Rahul Gandhi always says, I don't want to be the Prime Minister. So here you have a person who's very educated, a Raman Magsaysay award winner. He had look at the fact that the US, Germany, and UN raised issues of you can't be unfair to Arvind Kejriwal. Why? Because he has a global personality, although he's the chief minister of only half a state. So he's a brand by himself. AAP without Arvind Kejriwal is the same as these days, let's say, Samajwadi Party without its leader, right? So it's the same thing all across the country. In that, Kejriwal is a fighter. He has both the image of a governance guru as well as a street fighter. Therefore, he can end up bringing all the India opposition groups together, and it's a fight between the BJP and the India Alliance. That way, he is it appears that he deserves to be the default PM. Whether he'll end up becoming or not, only events will show. And it also depends on how the BJP deals with him.
Absolutely. Mr. Raizada, you believe Mr. Kejriwal can outlast what the ED is throwing at him? The corruption, of course, the conundrum that it came out of a corruption movement and anti-corruption movement, and that party itself is now facing serious charges of corruption. Can Kejriwal survive this?
In my opinion, if you look at leaker scam, there is enough credible evidence that goes against him. Like Miss K. Kavita was denied bail as about 10 days back, even by the Supreme Court. So that is a significant observation. the whole liquor scam has significant issues, even financial crime issues, which in my opinion, he won't be able to survive. Second is that what Mr. Jha, clearly, the way he's putting accolades on him, let me put it on records, because I've been involved with the Andolan right from beginning and Aam Aadmi Party also. And I stood against them on just purely ideological basis on the grounds. Mr. Kejriwal is a Machiavellian, he's a deep state guy, and he is only he is responsible for killing a Vyavastha.
Manish, and also very insecure.
And also he's absolutely insecure guy. Right. Absolutely insecure guy. So given all this, he has murdered an Andolan, and for next 20 years, people won't believe. When we are going to ground while campaigning for Bharatiya Liberal Party, and when we talk about all these idealism and good things about politics, people typically tell us on the face, oh, this was told about a few years back by that guy.
Right, absolutely. Thanks very much, Mr. Raizada. Machiavelli there, but as Ajit Kumar Jha said, that you need a Machiavelli to fight Prime Minister Modi. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, gentlemen, and my colleague Ashok Bagari. Of course, rallying around Kejriwal is what the opposition is doing for now, but in the long run, it's a long Lok Sabha election, brutal campaign trail. Only time will tell if the opposition manages to hold fast on the issue of the Enforcement Directorate and the government pursuing Arvind Kejriwal on corruption issues. Thanks for watching. The 2024 elections are the last chance for an entire generation of regional chieftains to capture Delhi. Who will emerge as the nucleus of opposition unity against Narendra Modi? Let's watch this exclusive from the News9 Plus series, The Last Stand.
जब से इन्होंने मनीष सिसोदिया क्या रेड मारी है, गुजरात में हमारा 4% वोट शेयर बढ़ गया.
He loves taking on Narendra Modi. Having won Delhi thrice before dethroning the Congress in Punjab, the Aam Aadmi Party is upbeat. However, it has no Lok Sabha seats.
If we have to look at his popularity among the common people of this country, he is really, really popular at this moment. In a very short span of time, the party was formed in 2012-13, and look at in 10 years' time, party has expanded its support base. Arvind Kejriwal has become very popular.
Arvind Kejriwal is viewed as a formidable contender to take Modi on.
BJP has been hitting out at opposition parties over issues like corruption charges, dynasty politics, and this is one area where Arvind Kejriwal has been able to outsmart everyone.